In the early stages of running a mail club, there's quite a lot to learn. I tried to research, but just a couple of months ago, there wasn't a lot of videos and I flew by the seat of my pants.
I'm 2 months into my mail club. I've packed 34 letters for March and I'm preparing my content for April. And I thought I'd share a little bit about my process, what I've been learning, and kind of answer the questions that I had for myself a few months ago. I'm Heather Nelson. I'm a soft pastel artist who lives on Vancouver Island. The Mail Club is nature inspired. It's all about sharing the flora and fauna that's here around Vancouver Island. There are times when I was discouraged a little bit about the growth, which sounds crazy because I went from 0 to 35 subscribers now. There's this pressure though, because you see all these people growing online and they're growing so quickly, and then you think to yourself, like, am I doing something wrong? But the whole purpose of a mail club is it's supposed to be slow and intentional. So shouldn't the growth for a mail club be slow and intentional too? I don't need it to grow fast. I just need to connect with my readers and create really cool art so they enjoy opening their envelopes. And then I can trust that that's going to grow. Not only will I manifest it because I've got positive feelings about it, but also they're going to start sharing it with their friends. They're already sharing it with their friends and family, and I'm so grateful. One of my subscribers who makes these amazing leather products, she actually made this leather-bound journal dedicated entirely to my Notes from the Wildwood Mail Club, and that gave me such a giant boost because I realized that my work is meaningful to somebody, and then she can make meaningful work. How powerful is that? We're both being creative together. My goal is truly to inspire others to find their own creativity and really explore that in whatever way works for them, whether it's writing more, just getting out a little bit more, sketching nature, enjoying nature. I've supplied a coloring sheet last month because the month of March was all about harbor seals, because here in the Bay, of course, harbor seals are a main element. And so in my letter, I was writing about kayaking with harbor seals and the experience here of living in the Bay. So when you're wondering, well, what should you write about in your mail club? Well, what's meaningful to you? What matters? Because then that's going to matter to other people because you're putting your heart and your soul into it. Every single mail club seems to run their scheduling completely differently. That was one of my biggest questions when I started the mail club. And because they're all running it differently, I think you have to run it in whatever way makes sense to you, although until you actually try it, you don't really know. But at the moment, what I'm doing is, I'm out of breath here. Okay, it's hard walking through these pebbles. So at the moment, what I'm doing is I take subscriptions until the 15th of the month, well, including the 15th. So I guess I should say I'm taking subscriptions until the 16th of the month. That gives me the rest of the month if, say, I had to order more postcards, which so far I haven't had to do, but if I had to make more inventory, I would have time. I'm finding it takes about 2 weeks to get my packets overseas, and it only takes a few days to get them here around the island. And so I would prefer if my people were actually receiving the letter that I wrote for them in that month's rewards to get it. So in other words, I wanted everybody to get their March seals in March. And so they sign up before the 15th, I ship them out, and then they're receiving their seals before the end of the month. That also gives me some time to make the new art because I have to create a new vellum design. I need to create a new letter, new stationery, a new soft pastel postcard print, which I then have to order from Vistaprint. Luckily, they're pretty quick at turning things around. And then I also create like some sort of creative craft for people, and sometimes I need to order supplies for that. I'm not telling you what April's craft is because I want it to be a surprise for everybody. I'm really excited about the club still. I have zero regrets about it. If I was going to do anything differently or maybe recommend to you, it's create a lot of your materials before you start. That way you're not going to feel rushed or pressured, and it gives you time to figure out some of the logistics. One of the best things I've done is create spreadsheets for myself. It's taking some time, but they keep track of annual subscribers versus monthly subscribers, which I found out was actually kind of difficult because in Squarespace, it would mark off if I fulfilled somebody monthly, but if I had somebody annually, there wasn't really a way to keep track of each month. So I created a spreadsheet that separates out monthly and annually. Annually will tell me which month is next to ship for those people, and in the monthly one I can download my CSVs, and then I can keep track of whether I've packed their envelopes or not packed their envelopes. I'm actually thinking, because this is such a critical piece, of creating like a digital download that I could sell on my Squarespace website of my spreadsheet system all made up. But I kind of want to trial it a little bit longer, and I want to make it a little bit prettier first too. But if there's any suggestions about that, like, drop them in the comments. I'd love to hear it. One of the most frequent questions that I see from people is, what are you using to sell and also collect your subscriptions? And I'm using Squarespace. That's probably kind of expensive, but I already had a Squarespace website, so for me it made sense, and I really appreciate how it keeps track of my subscriptions. It takes addresses, even though I still do put them into an address book, but it's going to keep track of my subscriptions. It's taking the money for me, so I don't have to worry about any of that aspect. I think you need some spreadsheets or some sort of organization system, even if you are using a site like Squarespace. I know a lot of people seem to talk about Shopify, but I don't have experience with that, so I can't speak to it. People sometimes ask, how did you decide what you were going to make your mail club about? For me, I'm obsessed with nature. I love nature. I love animals. I love to be outdoors. It was a no-brainer for me, especially because I live in this absolutely incredible place. Like, it's breathtaking. How would I not want to share that with people? So it was easy for me. But come up with something that you can be excited about every month for an infinite amount of time. Now, you might be wondering, what if you don't want that pressure to create all that artistic content all the time? And the thing is, you don't have to create this club forever. You can do this club for a certain amount of time. You can see how you like it. I actually find one of the difficult things about running a mail club is to making reels, making YouTube videos like this one. I enjoy it. I'm kind of looking at it as like the art of filmmaking, because it is like you're actually creating films, and that in itself, woohoo, is kind of a really cool art form. And so if I turn it into a creative art, I don't mind it as much, because I want to be spending time outside. I want to have fun outdoors, and I want to spend all of my time at the computer. Look, it looks like I'm crying, but it was a dewdrop. Another question I had was, should you make your content a surprise, or should you tell people about it? Of course, letting people know what's coming helps you advertise for the next month to get subscribers, but I also love the idea of a surprise. Now, my readers have said that if they know what's coming, they have a lot of anticipation and they're excited. They can't wait till it gets there. But then I think, wouldn't a surprise be more fun? So I feel like as I go ahead, I'm probably going to make more things a surprise. I'm giving people sneak peeks of what's coming up, and more as time goes on, I can share what I made in the previous months, and I don't have to share so much of what's going to happen. A blue heron just flew over my head.
One of the things I stress about is whether everybody is getting absolutely every element in their mail. So I'm pretty careful about that. But one thing that I actually do enjoy and was nervous about at first is going to the post office and making my deliveries. So the first month I took 24 letters into the Duncan post office, and the postal worker thanked me for being there. So then the second month I walked through the village and delivered the mail by hand, which was so much fun to just walk through the village. I really felt like I was part of the community. And then the postman, it was his birthday, and so there was a kind of a joy in that, because we were sharing about each other's birthdays, because it was his birthday that day and it was my birthday just 2 days later. The moral of that is, get to know your postal worker.
Thank you so much for watching this video. It means a lot to me, and if you have some questions I haven't answered, I'd love it if you had dropped them in the comments below.